My name is Sarah. Welcome to the It is a Sarah podcast. Today it is Monday, August 26th, I guess. Yes, I'm quite sure. I'm really sure. August 26th, 2024. And in this episode, I want to share my handwerk perikelen. That's a Dutch word for crafty adventures from this week with you. And it will be quite a long episode, I'm afraid, because I just filmed my Dutch episode and it was a long one. So I hope you have the time. I hope you have some good knitting or crochet or whatever with you. I'm coming to you from the Netherlands, so excuse my Dutchy English. I love to knit, I love to crochet, I love to sew, and I love to talk, so that's the perfect combination for making this podcast. I make my episodes in Dutch and in English every Monday. So be sure you pick the right one. Okay, let's dive in today and start with what I'm wearing. I am wearing my home camisole. No, I forgot something. Let's start with the music I always start my episodes with. I'm sorry, otherwise I'm quite sure I will forget. I lost my intro tune. I can't find it on my laptop anymore. I always use the same intro tune. I'm quite attached to it. I love the music. I love it when people are commenting me that it's a bit of a Pavlov effect on them. When you hear the music, you know, oh, I have to sit and knit and listen to Sarah. I was searching for my intro tune on my laptop. I used the tune from the YouTube audio video. When you are making videos on YouTube, you can use audio fragments for free and you can download them to your computer. So I did that quite a while ago, more than a year, and I used it all the time. I started with a different one, but I changed, I think, more than a year ago. And later, when I started editing my videos more, I also had a payful membership on another website, Epidemic Sound. So my other music I always pick from that website. And yeah, I think I clean my laptop every now and then. I throw away all the documents I don't use. I don't save all the episodes I make. When I'm sure they are online in the right way, I throw them away in my online bin. No, it's not online, in my laptop bin. And I am afraid that I accidentally put my intro tune in my laptop bin. And I emptied the bin. And then I realized later that my tune was gone and I can't find it. And I also can't find it anymore in the audio, YouTube audio library. So that's the reason why you are hearing another tune, another intro tune. And it's good to change every now and then. But if you were really attached to my old tune, I'm sorry. It was not my plan, but it just happened. I hope you like this one too. I do. Okay, let's start with what I'm wearing. I am wearing my home camisole today. That's a pattern by Caidree. I did knit it 2 years ago and it was my first top-down construction for a V-shaped summer top. And I really love making it. I am quite sure I was doing a test knit for Caidree by then. I really love the way how you knit it. You start with one triangle, then you make the other one, then you pick up stitches for the back one and you pick up stitches for the other back one because it is reversible. Do you say it like that? Front and back are the same. You just have, it's a bit important when your boobs are creating a shape in the fabric. I don't know if that's really happening, but if that's happening, it's important to be aware that you aren't wear the boob side at the back. But if you care, I always have the same side at the front because I made a mistake in the central decrease stitch at the back. So that's the reason why I can see the difference, not of the boob shape. I don't know if that's even a thing. I'm sorry. When you connect all the 4 triangles together. It's just a plain knit in the round construction, and I really love the interest of the construction. It asks for a little bit more attention. It did for me because it was my first time, but when you are knitting in a round, it becomes quite a boring job. I don't know if you can, there's something flying over, a helicopter, I guess. The boring part, that's living in the city, in a small country, I guess. There are things flying over all the time, and we even don't live quite close to an airport. But boring projects on your needles can be very helpful to pick up and knit every now and then, when you have a phone call, when you have a chat with your friends or family, when you are waiting while cooking dinner, although that's quite different, knitting while you're preparing dinner. It's not successful in my house because I prefer knitting than cooking, so I can't stop and then we have burnt food. No, not really, that's a bit dramatic, but for me it's better to not knit while I'm cooking. And it makes me realize I always knit in summer for summer and in winter for winter, just because I feel the motivation for knitting for the season when it is the kind of weather that belongs to the season, that matches with the season. But I'm always thinking about what to knit and what to make and whatever, and there is happening a lot more in my head than on my hands, but I think that sounds familiar for a lot of knitters and crocheters. I am thinking about casting on some summer garments, which will be boring projects after a while, so they are my on-the-go projects during the winter, and then in spring 2025 I have all the finished objects that I can wear instead of all the finished objects in September. So yeah, we shall see. Yeah. Okay, but I love this one. I really love the fit of this one. I really struggled with the border. It originally has an I-cord border. Pick up stitches and do an I-cord bind off, and I love the look of that, but I wasn't able to pick up the stitches as neatly as I wanted. So I was so frustrated in the end, especially because I was doing a test knit. When you are doing a test knit, you really want to do good. But when it really doesn't work out, sometimes your own solution works the best. So I did knit to purl to because that's my favorite. And yeah, I'm really happy with that. I knit it in Holst Coast, held double. It's a little bit itchy when I am overheated, but today's temperature is beginning 20 degrees. It's perfect. I'm wearing a spaghetti top. Do you call it like that? It sounds weird in English. In Dutch we say spaghetti bandjes, spaghetti straps under it, and no itch at all, but I'm also not overheated, so then it's really nice. I definitely want to make more. Okay, I'm also wearing my skirt, my modified, no, there was another word. I made the show notes and I can't find the word. My modified Songbird skirt I'm wearing, and I told about it a few episodes ago. It was actually my plan to wear my cherry Songbird skirt, my first one, today, but as you can see, something happened. It was meant to be, although a part of this. The Songbird skirt is a pattern by So Liberated, and you have actually 2 versions of the Songbird skirt. There is version A, that's quite a plain version. I only made version A's, but there's also a version B, and that's a one with a more bohemian look. You can make some pleats right here, and you can add some lace border, lace lint, lace fabric, yeah. Lace tape, no, not tape. Tape is not the good word. In Dutch we say lint. For nice bohemian looking details. I didn't do it, but I accidentally cut the fabric for the version B, and then the fabric is a little bit longer because the pleats, I don't know if the pleats is a good word. I know the garter right now. Thank you for helping me. I lost the word last week. But the pleats, you fold it double and then you seam it. So you need some extra fabric, and I accidentally cut the length for that, but obviously I didn't do the pleat. So my skirt was a bit too long, and in the beginning it was not bothering me at all. But when I made a second version, which was the right length, I realized that I prefer that length. So I want to shorten this one a bit. And also because the gathering didn't work out the way it was meant to be on my first example, and my garter muscles are growing. They are a little bit bigger already. So I thought, okay, let me cut off the tiers and gather again, and then the skirt will be a few centimeters. 4 centimeters shorter was the right length. So I thought yesterday, Sunday afternoon, that's a quick job. I can do it in an hour. So I did start. I'm not really a neat cutter. I don't take the time to cut my fabric straight and neat. So it's always a bit wobbly. And I'm really happy with the rip method. Also, thank you for that word. In Dutch we call it scheuren. The sch is a hard sound for English-speaking people, I know, but we have it in Dutch. When I made all the towels for holiday of the double gauze cotton, when you have a woven fabric, you can rip it, and you don't have to cut, but you make a tiny cut and then you can rip, and it will be a nice straight line if you do it in the right way. And that's really good when you are a messy cutter. So I thought, let's do that with the skirt. So I did that, but I made a mistake. I had to rip horizontal, of course, because I had to remove the tiers, but I ripped vertical, my side seam. And I ripped, and I was happy with a nice neat rip, and then I realized, what am I doing? That was not meant to be, that was the perfect seam. Oh, I'm such a light. I'm such a clumsy person. This is the story of my life. But lucky me, I'm also good in seeing the good things in all my clumsy things. So, because I don't think it's helpful to think that it's stupid or dumb of yourself. I thought, okay, it was actually a little bit wide. So by redoing the side seam, it will be more narrow, and that's perfect. So I guess it's meant to be. It was not planned, but it's meant to be. So just let your life happen. Even the mistakes. But the part was, it wasn't a quick fix anymore, because I couldn't just make a new side seam quickly, because the side seam was actually one of the parts I was very proud of. I don't know if you can see it, but the seam is under the bottom seam. Yeah, my camera is sharp. So I had to undo the seam of this part so I can make it all nice and neat together and hide the side seam in the bottom seam. But I realized yesterday this will not be a quick fix, so don't try it even right now. And I had to let go the idea of wearing my cherry Songbird skirt today. And I have to do this in little steps coming week. So it will be perfect again, but not in one day. Small, easy peasy, tiny steps with focus and concentration and no hurry. And that's not my best part, especially when I'm sewing. I always have hurry because you can finish a skirt in one night. I did that with this one, but that's not really good for me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me see. I did a lot of hard jumping knitting and also a little bit of crochet. I didn't bring my Prague blanket. I worked on it quite a bit. It's actually my evening job right now, when we are watching television or just in between. And it seems as if the blanket is not growing at all, but my basket is getting more empty every evening. So we are quite close to finishing the blanket, and then I will show it, of course, because it's really a hard jumping thing. It was actually my plan this weekend to work on my rabbit. The little cotton rabbits. I made a blue rabbit in March, I guess, a few months ago, and now I want to knit all my children a rabbit. I have 3 teenage children, and 2 girls and 1 boy, and I focus on my boy's rabbit right now because he will go out of the house. There was a name for it. He will study at a university, which is not quite close to our home. It's in Belgium, actually. And then you are going to live on yourself in a campus, in a room. In Belgium they call it op kot. In Dutch we say op kamers. But he will live on his own during the week, and he will come home for the weekends. But we will make him a nice place, or actually he will do that by himself, of course. His little sister will help him with making it nice and cozy. But I thought, let me knit him a rabbit, a bunny, which he can bring with him. And I think I like the idea more than he will do. He doesn't know. I will do it for him. He knows I am knitting a rabbit. He said, do I need a rabbit? I said, yes, you need a rabbit in your life. And I will bring it with him at his new place, and he will be happy with it. So it needs a little bit of focus. He will be gone within a few weeks, and I really love to finish it, but I didn't knit a stitch on it this weekend, and I think it is caused by the yarn. I'm knitting with Let Lopi, and Let Lopi is one of my favorite yarns, but it's quite a non-superwash yarn, quite itchy, and I just don't love working with Let Lopi in summer. It doesn't feel nice on my hands. By then it will come, but it was not the moment. But the reason I also wanted to work on my rabbit was because I received some lovely mini skeins from a Dutch spinner and knitter. Her name is Joke Klein, and she asked if she could send me some of her handspun yarn. It was with a reason. She will be coming to Knit to Purl To with some friends, and they will do some spinning. Knit to Purl To is the festival I will organize in November, and they will show some spinning, and they will sell some of their yarns. And she asked me if she could send me a little bit of her yarn, so I could see how it was, and it was really, she really spoiled me because this yarn is absolutely beautiful. She did all the process herself. So she picked the sheep wool, she washed it, she, I don't know the word for it. In Dutch we say Caidree. There must be a word for it in English too. And then she spinned it. And this is a really dark shade of dark brown, and a neutral one and a grayish brown. Those two are from Texel. That's one of the Dutch islands. And this one, I don't know. I don't know what's on the label. Yeah, but really beautiful. And she put some nice words on the card with it, and she suggested I could knit a sweater for one of my rabbits, or a dress. And really, a striped sweater or a pants, or maybe just some lovely lacy dress, or a Colourwork sweater. It would be lovely in the yarn. So that really made me wanting to finish the rabbits. And I think when I'm knitting the head, and I have 2 ears, and when I finish the head and I stiffed it, and the rabbit has a head and eyes and ears, then I will fall in love with him, and I really need to knit him a body and legs and arms and clothes and shoes. So I know when the moment is there, when the rabbit comes alive. Now it's just a piece of knitted fabric with no soul in it. But when I stiffed it with some lovely sheep wool, no, alpaca wool I used for that, with some lovely alpaca wool, and I embroidered the eyes on it and a little nose and the ears, then he will come alive. There is a soul in it, and Sarah can't stop knitting for that rabbit anymore. I know how it will work. So no worries. We are quite close to that moment. Okay, the other reason I didn't knit on the rabbit was because I was completely distracted by a new sock pattern. I started it Saturday morning. I had some struggles with my sock. I showed it last week or maybe the week before. Just before summer, I had a nice collaboration with a Dutch dyer. Her name is Janneke and her shop is called Gewoon Jans, which means normally Jans. Jans is a short nickname for Janneke and Gewoon normally. But she absolutely doesn't dye normally colors. She does. That sounds a bit weird. She dyes the most beautiful colors. So she asked me if we could collab, and she asked me if easy peasy, Sarah. Which colors let me think of a summer night? And then I really saw myself sitting in front of our new camper van. It is coming, it is on its way. We only have to wait a few weeks. In front of the camper van, on a dark summer night, the end of summer, we at a campfire, with those beautiful socks, and I mentioned the colors, and she made a mood board, and then she dyed a beautiful set, and this is actually the set. They are of course not lovely mini skeins anymore. I showed them before in the podcast, so probably already have seen it multiply a lot of times. Yeah, very lovely. The color of the woods and the fire, and yeah. So I wanted to knit a sock, and I started when we went on holiday. It was my car knitting, and I was very happy that I found a random stripe generator, and it seems as a lot of fun to me. So I started with random stripes, not in a fixed follow-up, just all messed up. The amount of stripes and also the colors, but I didn't really like it. So I started a new one, and that was this one, and I really wanted a slouchy sock. I love slouchy socks. I love to wear leg warmers, and when I make extra long socks, they give me the leg warmer feeling. But there was something with this sock. I didn't feel the motivation to cast on the second one. I never have the second sock syndrome. I never have problems with casting on the second one, but now I didn't feel the sparkle, and there were several things. I don't like it when the toes, the heels and the cuffs are in different colors. I really love them to be in a contrast color, the same color, but I really wanted to make one pair of socks with those 6 mini skeins, and I thought there are 6 colors and 6 parts, so they can all be one part. I did doubt about adding another lovely yarn Janneke dyed for me. Last summer, she dyed an It's a Sarah colorway. She started dyeing, and she had a fun thing. Every now and then she dyed a batch in a colorway inspired by someone she knew from Instagram. So the colorway was inspired by the colors used on the feed on Instagram, and of course mine's brown, but there were some lovely other colorways. So this is my own It's a Sarah skein. It's lovely. Janneke gifted me 1 skein, and I bought 2 extra myself because I wanted to knit a cardigan of it, but it never happened. Of course, all is happening in my mind, not on my hands, not on my needles. And I was thinking about using that one for the toes, heels and cuffs, but I was a little bit afraid that I wouldn't have enough left for the cardigan, so I didn't do it. So I just knitted this on holiday, but it was not hard jumping. So I didn't know what to do. It is not that I think this is an ugly sock, but it doesn't give me the sparkle, and it's always quite a small difference between something nice and something hard jumping. And it's very easy to do a lot of nice things in your life, but there's nothing wrong with nice things, but why should you pick nice things when you can also choose for hard jumping things? So suddenly I realized that I wanted to knit a second sock on my willpower, then doesn't give me the sparkle, but I wanted to finish this pair anyway. But then I realized I won't wear those with so much pleasure as I want to wear those socks, because I love the collaboration I had with Janneke, and yeah, I wanted to buy hard jumping. So then I found another sock pattern. Every now and then I check Ravelry, and I found the Colourwork Cuff Club from Summer Lee. And the idea of the Colourwork Cuff Club is that you buy the base pattern, the base sock pattern, and you pay, I don't know, she has a special offer for August, and after August it will be a little bit more expensive, but it's under 15 euros. I think I paid 12 euros or maybe $12. I don't know, but it's not a big difference. You buy this base sock pattern, and every month, 12 months long, you will receive a Colourwork chart for the cuff. And in August, there are two. Sometimes she has so much inspiration that you will receive two. And I immediately fell in love with this one, the flowers. I saw that one on Ravelry, and it was really hard jumping for me. And I immediately thought, okay, I won't knit the Stephen West socks anymore, the surprise sock along, the color opportunity socks. I will let go that one, and with the green I have and another contrasting color, I will knit this one, this pair of socks. It was laying on the shelf in my head, but I wanted to finish that sock first. But it was a bit of a struggle, and then I was watching an episode of Summer Lee's YouTube channel in which she explains what the Colourwork Cuff Club is exactly. And then she showed this design. I already have seen it and I love it, I like it, but it was not love at the first sight. This was love at the first sight. But then she told that this Colourwork chart was based on granny stripes, and then she had my attention. Granny stripes? Granny stripes are my favorite. I'm a granny stripe lover. I am a deep granny square lover, and granny squares are crocheted with a granny stitch, and you can also make granny stripes with a granny stitch. So she had my attention, and it was not love at first sight, but love at second sight, because after she started telling about the granny stripes, I only could see granny stripes in it, and I definitely wanted those socks on my needles. I know there are some lovely designs in which the designers has combined crochet granny squares or other squares with just plain sock knitting, and there are some lovely viewers who have gifted me those patterns, so I'm very thankful. Thank you for that. But they are in my mind for making ones, but I never felt that I wanted them now. But with this granny stripes, I thought, knitted granny stripes, I need them in my life right now. This was quite an overwhelmed, positive feeling, and I felt the sparkle definitely. So I thought, I don't feel the sparkle at that one. I let it go, and I will make granny stripe socks with the sock set. So here we are, my own granny stripe socks, the pattern from Summer Lee, with the summer nights at the campfire sock set. I decided I wanted to make one, and I wanted to add my It's a Sarah's cane, because I think those socks are a little bit too light and bright for me. I really love the brown and the neutral, and I really love the vintage vibe. The doorbell's ringing, but I'm not home alone. So the vintage vibe. I really love the color combination, but the darker brown, it's not really dark brown, but it gives a little bit more of Sarah sauce, I guess. It is a Sarah color, so I think I can call it Sarah sauce. So I started with the color work, and I completely changed my way of sock knitting for this sock, because I actually am a toe up sock knitter. I started cuff down when I started sock knitting with heel flap and gusset. And when I was doing that, I was not a very advanced knitter. I was actually quite a beginner knitter, and I definitely had no idea what I was doing. Knitting the heel flap, picking up the stitches, turning heel, the gusset. I had no idea, but I just followed the pattern, and at the end I had a sock. But later, when I discovered toe up sock knitting, I preferred the way of casting on the Turkish cast on I always use for the toe. I think it's much easier and quicker than the just regular cast on. And also, I just love the way of, you can knit up until you think my yarn is, I'm running out of yarn, or now the fit is long enough. I just love the construction. And I also discovered the fish lips kiss heel and later the shadow wrap short row heel. And I preferred knitting those and also the fit of it. Because in the beginning, when I start sock knitting, I think I just knitted my socks a little bit too big. I discovered that for me it works better to make socks with a little bit of negative ease in the width, but also in the length. But I didn't know that when I was knitting this way. So my socks were always a bit wide, and also there was also some fabric flowing over my sneakers, and I didn't like it. But it felt as if it was a good time to change all the things, so I thought, let me just follow the pattern and knit cuff down. It started with a knit 2 purl 1 rib stitch, and I never use that. I do knit 2 purl 2, that's my favorite, or otherwise knit 1 purl 1, but never knit 2 purl 1. But I really love the look of it. I cast it on a 2mm needle, and I held my needles double. I know you have some clever ways of casting on stitches for some extra stretch, but I'm a lazy knitter and I just love the easy peasiness of this way and also the look. So I did a long tail cast on, but then around 2 needles instead of 1, and then I had enough stretch in the cuff. It isn't too stretchy, but it's definitely not too tight either. And then I knit 15 rounds of knit 2 purl 1, and that's a little bit more than she suggests, but I love a good cuff. And then I was at the Colourwork, and then I had a problem. I didn't have a problem. I have some doubts. This pattern comes in 3 sizes, small, medium and large, I'm quite sure. And the small size was 56 stitches. It's a bit depending on the Colourwork chart, if it's 1 stitch more or 1 stitch less. But I always knit my socks on a 2mm needle, 56 stitches, that's the perfect size for me. But with the Colourwork in the cuff, you always have the problem, the fabric of your knitted fabric is always a bit stretchy, and that's nice for the negative ease and nice to have on your feet. But Colourwork is not so stretchy. It's a little bit more tight, so you knit it on a bigger needle. But I remember myself knitting all over Colourwork socks with 72 stitches. So 56, it sounded as way too less, but the rest of the sock was no Colourwork. So when I would go up 1 size, the rest of the sock would be too big. So I could do increases, no decreases or whatever. And then I decided, okay, let me just follow the pattern and then decide if it's okay or not. When it's too tight for me, maybe it's okay for one of my girls. Their feet are smaller and their legs are smaller, but just follow the pattern. And I had to pick the right needle size. Summer Lee knits her socks at the 2.25mm needle. A lot of people do. I did that too before. But because I'm a little bit of a loose knitter, I discovered that 2mm gives me a more better fabric for socks. So I doubted. She knitted her Colourwork on 2.75, and I doubted what I would do. Would I go to 2.5 or also 2.75? I was a bit afraid that my 2.75 fabric would be too loose and would look a bit messy. But on the other side, when I'm knitting Colourwork, I'm a continental knitter. But when I'm knitting Colourwork, I love to have one color left and one color right. So I do a little bit of continental and a little bit of English style. And when I'm knitting English style, I'm knitting on a tighter gauge. So because of that, I decided that I also would try a 2.75 millimeter needle size, and we would see what would happen. That's 2 times would in one sentence. I don't think that's correct. So it worked out pretty good. My gauge is beautiful. There's nothing wrong with it. I did another exciting thing. Summer Lee was knitting. I'm absolute magic loop knitter. I really love magic loop knitting. Summer Lee was knitting on shorties. And one day later this week, I was watching a Dutch podcast. Also a Dutch knitter who was knitting Colourwork socks, her own design. It's a Dutch knitter. Her name is Mirjam Molenbeek, but her designs are in English. And she also made a lovely design, the Aagje sokken. It is in English. It will be in English. It will come out later this week. I really love the colors of that and just the look of the socks. But she was also knitting on shorties. And I am not a shorty lover. Shorties are the short needle tips, the interchangeables. I have all. One shorty set was gifted to me by Edna, but that was not this one. The other one I bought myself because I was a shorty wannabe. Everybody was so happy with the shorties, and it sounds so lovely. Just knit more quicker because you don't have to pull your loop through your knitting all the time. It's more time consuming, so this sounded lovely. But it was just not holding nice in my hands as I was knitting continental. When I was knitting English style, it worked out better. I tried knitting English style one summer long, but then my shoulder hurt and my knitting fire burned out because I am just a continental knitter and I knit more even when I knit English style, but I'm not a happy knitter anymore. So I let that go. Only Colourwork I knit English style. So I didn't use my shorties in all those time, and now I thought, okay, let's try again, because I also know I am a person which preferences can change during the time. Sometimes things I thought I would never like will be my favorite, and other way around. So just try the things over and over again every time. So I did do it, and I did my 8 centimeter needle point at the right and my 5 centimeter needle point at the left, because I thought I have a little bit more to hold, and the 13 centimeter cable, I think that's the shortest one. I started with one size bigger, 15 centimeter, but then my stitches stretched out too much, so this way, and it was knitting heavenly. It was so relaxing. It was so nice. It went so quickly, and so it was really rhythmic and lovely. And I was a bit confused because I thought I didn't like this, but I loved it. So I was really happy to try it. So if you recognized this, you really don't like specific things, give them a try over and over again, because they might become your favorite. You will be never bored again. I'm never bored. Always experiencing new techniques. So I knitted the Colourwork, and let me see. Then I went back to my magic loop knitting because I knit that continental and I love the feeling of magic loop. I didn't want to try that on the shorties too. And then I doubted a little bit about the length of the cuff because it's on the short side right now, but I didn't want to use up too much of my yarn because I still want to knit a cardigan of it. So I thought, let me see if a short cuff will look fine. Normally my cuffs are longer, my legs are longer, I have to say. I even love the slouchy legs, and this is quite short for me, but it also felt okay for a summer sock. And I tried it in my Birkenstocks. I didn't try it in my sneakers yet. I don't wear sneakers all summer. It's months ago I put them on, and it always feels a bit... my feet prefer Birkenstock so much more, so we will wait with that when it's really cold. It's definitely not cold enough right now. So I think it's okay. I did I think 13 centimeter leg, including the cuff, maybe 12, I'm not quite sure. Then I did the heel flap and gusset, and it was again such a moment when you realize my knitting muscles did grow, because I was struggling 5 years ago and had no idea what I was doing, and now I did understand exactly what I was doing, and it was not hard at all, and it's looking nice and neatly, and I was really enjoying the process. So that was really fun. Yeah, and now I'm at the foot, and I will make a contrasting toe. I will use the dark brown again, because I think it will look very nice, and also again I don't want to use up too much of this yarn. So I will do that, and I'm quite sure I have enough. And it was a little bit, I had to measure and count. Summer Lee describes exactly in her pattern how you can measure your foot length and all this stuff. And I always do row counting. So after 10 rounds of 60 rounds or 55 rounds for my feet, and then it's okay. But it actually doesn't make sense, because your row gauge can change. When you are stressed and knitting, you have tighter knitting than when you are very relaxed. But also different yarns means different row gauge. When you are knitting DK weight socks or sport weight socks, you have to measure in centimeters. In the Netherlands we use centimeters. I know you are using, a lot of people are using inches. We work with centimeters. I guess all over Europe centimeters are common. 1 inch is about 2.5 centimeter. My foot size is size 38. That's also European. I think it's size 6 or maybe 6.5. I don't know if if there's a difference between UK and US sizes. I'm quite sure when I buy Vans, and I have size 6 for the sneakers, but yeah, I know that, so I think it's size 6. And I checked how long a size 38 lady's foot will be, and it was a little bit different every now and there, and it was around 23 centimeters. And then I thought, okay, but a little bit of negative ease lengthwise also works out for me. Not too much, but because then it's not nice, but a little bit. So suddenly I had a great idea to just measure 2 of my best fitting socks, 2 different pairs, and I measured from toe to heel. And they were both exactly 22 centimeters. And that was really a heart jumping moment, because it exactly matches with my own thoughts. 23 centimeter is size 38. A little bit of negative ease makes 22 centimeters for the perfect fitting sock lengthwise for Sarah. So that was nice. And then I measured the toe. Summer Lee told that the toe decreases, the decrease part was 4 centimeter. And I always add 10 rounds extra when I make a contrasting color toe. So you start knitting with 10 rounds in that color before decreasing, or when you are knitting toe up, you start with the increasing part, and after increasing you add 10 rounds in that color, because when I only do the increase or decrease part, you have a tiny little toe and it's looking good on the needles, but on my feet it's not looking in balance or something. And with 10 rounds extra it's looking a little bit big on your needles, but on my feet it's looking better. So I measured this toe from the beginning of the toe until the end of the contrast color, and that's 4.5 centimeters. So my row gauge is quite different from Summer Lee, so it was good that I checked. So 22 centimeters minus 4.5 centimeter means that I have to knit 17.5 centimeters in total in this color, and then I can start the dark brown toe, and then it will be finished. So yeah, it was actually quite a lovely project, as well as to knit, but also as to think about it and check and measure. And yeah, it really made me realize that I'm not a beginner knitter anymore. I didn't thought that I was a beginner knitter because I did knit so much, but that I also really feel that I'm not anymore. I am understanding what I'm doing. When I started knitting, I had no idea. I just followed the pattern, and had no idea what I was doing. And nowadays, I do have an idea, and that really was hard jumping. So yeah, and also what's also hard jumping is this sock. For me, this suits me and my style so much more than that one. There's nothing wrong with that sock, and oh, not that one, here it is. There's nothing wrong with this sock, and a lot of people actually might prefer this one, but it is the difference between nice and hard jumping is such a tiny difference, but it can mean so much for your knitting fire. And it was really inspiring for me again. And also you can use it in other things in your life too, of course, because you can't always choose, I think. It doesn't always have to be hard jumping. Sometimes it's also good when it's nice. But if you can choose, don't spoil your energy on nice things when you can make hard jumping things too, especially in your creative process, because that's your hobby, that's your passion, that's your recharge activity. So it's really the best place to choose the things you're doing, the things you love the most. Because then you will recharge and be the happiest person as quick as possible. So yeah, that really reminded me of that. I don't know what I will do with this sock. I don't think I need a yarn for the other sock. Maybe I will save it as a reminder, or I will frog it and reuse the yarn. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, enough about this sock, I guess. So the Summerly Colourwork Cuff Club, 1 year of Colourwork knitting. I have no idea if I will knit all the Colourwork cuffs. I don't know if I will like them, but I did like those two, and they were the price of the pattern worth for me. So even if I don't like the other patterns at all, I can't imagine that will happen, because I think Summerly has some really nice and brightful designs, and it's perfect for all your mini skeins and scraps. But I'm very curious to the next one, but I definitely will make the flower one, and I have a nice color combination in mind for me. So yeah, it's really making me happy. Okay. Oh yeah, I made some slow television for you, for me working on the sock, some winding my, some yarn caking of my skein and a little bit of knitting. And I put a little easy peasy calming and relaxing piece of music under it. So it is a little bit of a slow television. If you like it, you can enjoy it right now. And if it's not your thing, then it's time to go to the toilet or grab yourself some drinks. Or whatever you have to do, and I will be back in a minute. Okay, something else I really enjoyed knitting at is my May top. This is the pattern by Asita Krebs. It is a really lovely pattern. I bought 2 skeins of Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the beginning of summer at a Dutch knitting shop, a Rebel with a Twist. And when I came home and I was searching for patterns, I realized that 2 skeins might be a little bit less for me to knit a summer top in my size, and I couldn't really find a lot of patterns with so less yarn. I needed 3 skeins. I should have bought 3 balls of yarn. And then my mom, she did knit this pattern, and she showed, I already have seen her summer top and I really loved it, and she said, I think you can knit it with 2 skeins, and it was correct. So I did buy the pattern, and that reminds me of buying patterns and sharing digital patterns. It's really easy to share your digital patterns with your friends and your family, but I never do that with my family and friends because it's not really nice for the designer. The designer put a lot of effort and a lot of work in creating nice patterns. So I always buy my patterns and I don't share them online. I have a friend, and she asked me, "Oh, you was wearing such a nice top. Can you do you have the design digital?" And then I sent her the links where she can buy it herself, and she did. And I think it's good to mention it again. I know a lot of people are doing the same as I do. I think when we want a lot of people to be able to create all those nice designs and earn some money with it, we just have to buy it. Most of the patterns are not expensive at all, only a few euros. When you're buying a lot of patterns, it is expensive, but yeah, it's also addictive buying patterns. But so I did buy the pattern by myself, and yeah, I just want to mention it again. Maybe you are all did this way, but if you are sharing patterns digital with your friends, I hope I can inspire you a little bit. Yeah, I don't want to tell you what to do because everybody has to know it for themselves, and you have all financial situations and it's all personal, of course. But if you are able, please buy the patterns by the designers because yeah, they deserve it. Yeah, lovely design. It's again a top-down construction. I was a little bit afraid that my back panel would be too short and I wouldn't have enough space under the armpit, so I did add 2 rows with some increases. But then when I was knitting further, I realized that the back is not, the shoulder seams are not at the shoulder, at top of the shoulder, but a little bit lower. So that gives it a little bit extra space. And now I think it's maybe a little bit too deep. So I think I will remove those 2 rows. I'm quite close to attaching it together, joining front and back, and then I will knit it around. I did start the lace section, and that's really lovely. I love knitting lace. It's quite a while ago. No, that's not true. I said that before. I did knit the Senna cardigan. I just love knitting lace, and it will take me a little bit of time to memorize the lace pattern because as I saw, there were quite some rounds. But I know at some point the lace pattern is in your fingers and it's just knitting it around and nothing's happening, and it will be an easy knitting work. So I really love it. And it will be quite summery weather the coming weeks, I guess. We really have the late summer weather, beginning 20 degrees. That's really a temperature I love in summer, and it's nice to have a summer project on my needles, and it also motivates me to work on this one because I might be able to wear it in the summer of 2024. So lovely pattern. I absolutely recommend it by now, and I don't think that will change. Of course, I don't know how the fit will be, but that's easy. My mind's always going faster than my mouth, and sometimes there's an error. I'm sorry. What did I want to say? It's just such an easy construction and shape, and I love the knit tree, purl tree. Yeah, it's just lovely, and also the yarn. I love knitting with a pure silk. Yeah. There's another project I want to show you. I showed it a little bit last week. It's my scrappy sweater, and I want to mention the pattern because I didn't know it last week. Oh, my administration is a mess. I hope it's not on your screen. You don't have to look at my mess. You only have to look at the nice things. But there's a table standing next to me with all the papers and all the things. Let me check. I am knitting the Wacky Leftovers jumper, and that's a pattern by Harvie, and it's actually a free pattern on Ravelry. And I was inspired by knitting this sweater by my youngest girl. I told a little bit about it last week, I guess. She wanted to knit a stripy, scrappy sweater, and she is knitting one. I did show it in my Heart Jumping Friday video. I don't have it with me here right now. I have another work in progress, very exciting, from my daughter laying behind me. I will share in a minute. But I was searching for patterns, and she really wanted a thick sweater. And lucky me, on the top 20 page of Ravelry, there was a kids version of this sweater. And that was exactly what I needed, because it was DK weight held double, which made a bulky weight. And that was exactly what I was looking for. And in the end, my daughter chose another pattern. She's knitting the Cur sweater from Rebecca Clow right now. Rebecca has a birthday sale, so go check her socials. Happy birthday, Rebecca. I don't know if you are watching, but I don't know how long the sale will last, so I hope you will be in time. But I'm quite sure you're all following Rebecca. But she's knitting the Cur sweater, and I just was inspired to knit up my scrappy DK weight stash a little bit and knit my own version of the Wacky Leftovers jumper. And it's a really easy peasy construction. I don't know if I can recommend the pattern yet, because it's a free pattern, but it's a drop shoulder construction, and I think that will be good. There can't go anything wrong, I guess. But as far as I am, it's pretty perfect, but there's nothing happening right now. Just cast on an amount of stitches and knit all the stitches away. I have a problem with it right now, but it's not caused by the pattern, it's caused by my magic yarn ball. I'm working with a magic yarn ball. I have actually two. I'm holding one strand of my DK weight scraps together with a magic yarn ball, and when I have a little bit left, I add it to the other magic yarn ball. I don't use magic knots anymore because I lost my trust in them. I'm sure I made them on the right way, but they just didn't stay as tight as I wanted to be. So what I just now do all the loose parts, the loose yarn ends, and when I'm attaching a new color, I knit a few stitches double with 3 strands of yarn held double. So I have 1 strand of DK weight and 1 magic yarn ball, and this color I always do 5 rounds, and this color is changing all the time. So you can see a little bit of a stripy effect. That's the 5 rounds with the solid DK weight, and the other colors are just happening. But what was happening right now, this is really a magic yarn ball. The fun thing of the magic yarn ball is that there are memories catched in the ball. And I'm back at my time as a crafting teacher on a Waldorf school, because these are all scraps of the children working at their knitting at the Waldorf school. I taught for 2 years, I guess. I teach them knitting and other crafting stuff. And the little leftovers we couldn't use in class, I attached to my magic yarn ball. And it's really nice to come with those memories. They were knitting with 2 yarn weights, one very bulky. It was actually a super bulky or maybe a chunky yarn for the small children, and the bigger children were knitting a hat with this yarn weight, but it's actually a worsted weight yarn, and it's not matching with my DK weight straps because it's too tight. I'm knitting at 5.5 millimeter needle size. The pattern is actually written for 6 millimeter needle size. I did swatch and I had the right stitch gauge, but the fabric is I think I could manage with 6mm needles because it would be a little bit more drapey, but it wouldn't be a problem. It's quite tight. It's not too tight, it's not stiff. It will be a warm sweater, but 6mm needles would have also be good, I guess. But because it's a little bit on the tight side, with the worsted weight yarn, it's way too tight. It's not feeling nice. And also the Waldorf yarn is very natural, very scratchy, very non-superwash, very sustainable, beautiful, but it's just not matching with my superwash DK weight scraps. So I have to rip out a little bit and save this ball for my, I don't know what's in the middle of it. I don't know if it's all worsted weight. Maybe I can unwind it and make a new yarn ball of it. But I will save it for a worsted weight scrappy project, and I will attach my other yarn ball to this one. But because I was really on steam with this project, it's really addictive. You can imagine, knitting stripes is addictive, but even more when you are knitting scrappy stripes, because every color combination is a little bit of a surprise. And what I love, I did a solid border. What I love it when all the scraps and all the mess and brightness is catched in solid borders. What I love of combining all the colors is the surprise effect, but also they are always working out good. Sometimes you have a color combination which is really, oh, I really love this. I love the orange and the pink going together. And also sometimes you have a color combination and you think, ooh, this is not right. But when I don't rip out, I just knit further, and when it's part of the whole, it's suddenly perfect. And I really love it that all the small parts together, which seems as they are a mismatch or not connected to each other at all, but when you catch them all in a sweater, it's perfect. And I can learn life lessons from that. All the tiny things, you don't really have an idea how they will match together. You just put them together and it will be something beautiful. It can be something beautiful. It will not always be, I guess. I think I said it before, because I try this with cooking too, but it doesn't work out in the kitchen for me, according to my kids and husband. I also try to put all the scraps together, but I will keep it by knitting. But maybe if you are a good cook, it will work out in the kitchen too. So yeah, I have to fix this part, and then I will knit further. And of course, when I finish the sweater, I can let you know if I can recommend it or not. But I'm quite sure I can, because it's a dropped shoulder construction. There cannot really be something wrong. I don't know if there are short rows involved, but I won't do short rows anyway, because then they will mess up my stripes. Yeah, I think it's okay. It's really lovely. And there's a kids version too, because I found that one first. So you can knit up all your DK weight scraps for your kids or for your grandchildren. You can make grown-ups one, and how much fun it would be. It's a little bit too late for that right now, but making a Christmas sweater for all your family, maybe 2025, the tiny family members, the bigger ones, and you have Christmas dinner with all, a Christmas breakfast maybe is better, and a Christmas walk in the forest with all your scrappy matching sweaters. That's a dream. That's a dream. We can always dream. Yeah. One dream of mine which came out is the knitting and crochet career of my daughter. It's really, it was a dream of me for a long time. All my kids learned. No, I don't think our son learned knitting. He did some embroider quite much, but the girls, they did learn knitting and they like it. They loved it, and when they were more tiny, they do it all the time. But now they are teenagers and they weren't knitting or crocheting anything. My oldest girl, she is making bracelets, and she's drawing. They are creative, But last summer I thought, oh, I really hope my girls will crochet or knit someday. And my youngest girl, she started doing that last summer, and she crocheted all the beautiful plants and the tiny toys and all the lovely stuff. Now she's knitting herself a sweater. She did knit herself a sweater last winter too, and now she's knitting another one, and she is really crocheting. So she did crochet a bag. It's not finished yet because she's not really happy with the outcome. Can you imagine? She's not happy with this. This one has to be attached, and the button is a little bit on the wide side, but it's not finished, and she lost motivation because she thought, I am not quite sure if I will use it. And I thought, but even if you won't use it, it's just an adorable piece to hang at a chair or at your wall or at your nail, whatever. Especially when you put a book in it, it's definitely good in shape. But I love the colorway, and I also love, she works so neat. She doesn't works the same as her mom. She's very neat crocheter and knitter. And she's very clever also. She was inspired by, I didn't know, I don't know if it's a young lady or a girl, but her name is Mahum at YouTube. I will put the link down below. And she makes the most beautiful crochet stuff, and she shares it all in videos on her YouTube. She's very popular, dus maybe you did her from her before, but my youngest girl discovered her, and she's really inspired by all the beautiful things she makes. And this bag is inspired by one of her designs, and it's not exactly one of the same because she made her own thing of it, and I really love that she's doing that. And yesterday evening she finished, oh no, it's not really finished. As you can see, she has to weave in the yarn ends, but she finished a crochet cover for her agenda for school. She used an agenda and a planner for school. It's all empty because the year just started, in which she writes her homework, and she plans her school stuff. And it's a nice thing. It's looking a bit boring at the outside, but not in an ugly way. But she really wanted to crochet a cover around it, and she finished it last night. And I love it. It's heart jumping, isn't it? It's just so neat. The agenda now feels as if you want to cuddle with it because it's so soft. She used the woolly yarn. I have a lot of it. 100% DK weight superwash yarn. And it's really looking lovely, and she did it so clever. And it was inspired by, again, one of the episodes of Mahum, and I think I suggested this part to so the cover would stay nice and neat around the book, but I only told her the idea, and she worked it all out herself. She's such a neat crocheter, and she has eye for details. She told me, the only thing I regret is that you can't see the V's of the stitches laying on top of the last row. And if you are a crocheter, I don't know if you can see it, the V's, she means those V's. And if she would have worked the other way around, the V's would be on top. And I was a little bit surprised because I thought, oh, I needed 10 years of crochet experience to have eye for such details, and she's only doing it for 1 year, and she can already see that. And she was also, I don't feel the motivation to redo it. It's okay that way, but I have to be aware of it next time. So it's such a clever girl, and it's such nice and neat. And she asked me, don't you need a crochet cover around your knitting books? And in the beginning I thought, I don't know, because I really love the cork. Is it cork? In Dutch we say kurk. The look of this, it's very neutral, and I always have the same. I think this is my 6th one, and I always love to use them. But I must say, every now and then I get a bit confused between the several, I don't know which is my current knitting book. It's now looking quite nice and neat because it's a brand new one. But when it's filled more, I can be confused about which one to use. Maybe a crochet cover will work out. I really love the look of it. And yeah, it's really making me happy. So I'm a very proud crafting mom. I think it's a really highlight in a crafting mom's life. I know not all kids are doing it. So I'm very happy that she is enjoying it so much. So, okay, I think I shared everything I wanted to share, and that's good because it's quite late. I have to hurry a little bit. Yeah, that was it for today. I am looking forward to a nice week filled with knitting and other creative stuff again. Next Monday, I want to share more about the Knit to Purl to Make Along, which will start by then. I'm organizing the Knit to Purl to Festival in November in my hometown. But this Make Along will be, you can join also if you are not joining, coming to the festival too. It's for everybody, but it's a Make Along in which you can participate with everything you want. I want to make myself an outfit for that day, for the Knit to Purl to Festival, and especially I want to knit myself something with a little bit of Sarah sauce. It's a desire. I love to put my Sarah sauce on existing designs every now and then, but I don't think I make time enough to be as creative as I want to be, because all my knitting time is filled with the beautiful designs of others, and there's nothing wrong with that. But now I thought, okay, let me use the Knit to Purl to Make Along to really make something that I want, that I normally wouldn't make the time for. Let me take this make along. It's not only knitting, because I also want to sew a dress. Let me do that right now and be very aware of doing something hard jumping. So you can use the make along for that. You can always also use it for finishing something because you just need it in your life, or maybe you are visiting the Knit to Purl to Festival and you want to wear it that day. I will tell you all about it next week, but I have a very, very hard jumping idea for making a cardigan for myself. And I was thinking about it all the time, what I would make, and I was sure about the yarn and the color, but I didn't know which pattern and what. And suddenly yesterday a lovely idea came into me, and I have no idea if I will make it to cast on this week already, and I have no idea if it will work out. But if it will work out, Sarah's a very happy knitter. So I will tell you all about that next week, and of course about all my other projects, the updates. Yeah, I hope you will enjoy. And if you love to have more hard jumping moments, you are more than welcome at the Hard Jumping Friday part of my YouTube channel. It's a paid membership. You pay €3 a month, and then you will receive an extra video every Friday. In that video you can answer me all the questions about my projects, about your own projects, about life in general, about typical Dutch things. You can ask me everything, and I will answer it there, and I will bring you a little bit with me during my week with my camera in my hand and share a little bit more details about my knitting life. And you are more than welcome there. I really love to talk about my knitting. I really love to learn all the life lessons in my creative life. It's so inspiring that what's happening in your knitting project or in your crochet project or in your sewing or whatever kind of creative project, it tells you so much about yourself, how you are working, what's making you happy, what you're struggling with, and it always gives me a lot of knowledge about myself I definitely can use in other aspects of my life, and I think that's really inspiring. So I love to muse a little bit about that there too. So if you think you will like it, then you are more than welcome to say hi, and yeah, you can find the link to that part down below in the show notes, and all the other things I told about it you can find down below. And if you are not interested in a hard jumping Friday part, it's also very okay. I know there are a lot of other people making beautiful videos, and I can absolutely imagine when you don't have time for extra videos, especially when I'm talking so long. I'm sorry, but I just love talking so much. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video anyway, and I hope to see you next time. If it will be on Friday or Monday, doesn't matter. I'm always happy when people are watching and are being inspired by my chatting about my handwerk perikelen. So I hope you have a nice week filled with some hard jumping moments. If you can't find them, create them, because they are important in our lives. There's doorbell ringing again. It's a sign. Sarah, you have to quit talking. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.